Hello everyone. In this video we are going to talk about the basal nuclei. As you may know, the basal nuclei is a subcortical collection of grey matter. They serve a wide variety of functions. However, they are mainly responsible for the initiation and the coordination of motor reflexes. They are also concerned with a number of cognitive functions, such as reward-seeking behavior, long-term memory, and recognition of fear. So we're going to make use of this model as well as a few pictures to go through the anatomy of the basal nuclei. You need to remember that the basal nuclei are bilaterally symmetrical structures, that we have a right and a left structure for one pair of basal nuclei. In this model we have the right insular cortex and its joining external capsule, and a left insular cortex and its joining external capsule. In order to reach the first pair of basal nuclei, we have to remove the insular cortex and the external capsule. As you may see, we also removed a small brownish structure known as the amygdala. We're going to talk about this later. So now we reach the first two structures of the basal nuclei. Looking at this picture, we have a C-shaped structure that runs along the lateral ventricle, starting at the frontal, parietal, and the temporal lobe, ending at the amygdala. This is known as the caudate nucleus. It has got a large head and a gradually tapering body and a tail. The second structure here is known as the putamen, and the two structures, as you can see, are interconnected by bridges of grey matter, therefore giving it a striated appearance. So it is sometimes these two structures together are known as the new striatum or striated nucleus. And straddling these bands of grey matter are bands of white matter passing through, and these are actually fibers of the internal capsule. As we have a left caudate nucleus and a putamen, we do have a right caudate nucleus and a putamen beneath the structure. Now, to move medially, we have to remove the caudate nucleus and the putamen in order to reach the most medial group of basal nuclei. Now, looking at the model and the picture, the second group, which lies more medially, is known as the globus pallidus. The globus pallidus itself is composed of an external part or lateral part and an internal part or medial part. And this can be easily demonstrated on the model. Now this is the left globus pallidus. It consists of an external part and internal part. Now going to the right side, we recall this is the head, the body and the tail of the caudate nucleus, and this is the putamen, and both are connected by these bridges of grey matter, and lying medially to the putamen are the external and the internal globus pallidus. The fourth group actually of basal nuclei, which cannot be demonstrated on the model, but however we can see it on a picture, is known as the subthalamic nuclei. The subthalamic nuclei, a pair of nuclei that lies, as the name might refer to, below the thalamus and at the top of the midbrain. This coronal section photograph demonstrates the insular cortex, followed by the external capsule and the claustrum. And here we have the corpus striatum, putamen, and the globus pallidus, so there's two parts. Then medial to it we have the internal capsule, and medially to both we have the right and the left thalami. Inferior to both thalami we have the subthalamic nucleus, in a close proximity to red nucleus. The last group of basal nuclei is known as the substantia nigra. Is a midbrain structure, consists of dopamine-rich neurons, and this is associated with a very known clinical entity, the degeneration of substantia nigra, associated with the clinical manifestation of Parkinson's disease. So as we recall, the basal nuclear structures, we have the caudate nucleus and the putamen. Both are known as the striated nucleus. And we have the globus pallidus, external internal part. Again, globus pallidus and putamen can also be known as the lentiform nucleus. And then we have the subthalamic nuclei and the substantia nigra. Historically, hippocampal structure and amygdala were considered part of the basal nuclei. But in modern text, these are considered as separate structures.